I'm super excited to be joined today by Justin Hurtt, celebrity stylist, creative consultant, and wardrobe consultant based here in Los Angeles. Justin used to be a professional basketball player and has played in over 9 countries before he moved into fashion, which inspired his aesthetic as well as his story. And I'm excited to learn more about that today as we talk about water. Justin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So Justin and I met at church
Yeah.
at Oasis, and we have a beautiful view of Oasis right now. So I know when Justin's going to church or not going to church, but I can see the Rick Owens from a couple miles away and the Chrome Hearts. And we have like the most fashionable church in LA, maybe the world.
I agree. It's very, very fashion forward. I love it. I mean, it's a lot of people that it's easy to connect with just based on, the fashion aspect.
I think that's how we connected.
For sure, it is.
We were sitting in the pews and I'm like, well, who's this dude in Rick Owens at church?
Yeah, you really asked me. We were at a men's night and I remember you saying, you were like, those Rick Owens or something like that. I was like, yeah. And that's kind of how we started talking.
And this watch in particular is incredible.
I appreciate it.
Who made this watch?
It's JPG, John Paul Gardier.
Yep.
So, vintage watch. So.
And do you know what year it's from?
I actually do not. I should actually research and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought it from like a vintage shop. And it's my daily watch.
How do you go about like not buying everything as a stylist? Because for me, it's like I'd be tempted to spend all the money I'm making and more.
It gets to a point where like you really don't just go shopping for yourself that much. Like a lot of my shopping experiences is for a client.
Yeah.
And then you see stuff you might want. I don't really just buy stuff when I'm working for a client. So that kind of limits me from buying. Obviously, there's online. That's tempting, of course. But at the same time, I'm very like picky about what I buy at this point in my life. That used to not be the case. So I limit it a lot more than I used to, for sure.
Yeah. I think I got to the same point that you're at now, where there's so much, especially in today in 2025, where there's just a million small brands, which is amazing, but I'm so inundated with it. And I feel like I'm at the point in my life where I have my aesthetic, I have my style, I have my taste preferences, that for me to deviate between that, and it's also just being such a guy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I have I would say even though for me, like it's definitely continued to just elevate and like expand for me. I would say even in the last 10 years, especially like I know we'll speak about this more, but like getting out of like the athletic field and actually be on the dress, actually put on clothes like every day. It kind of opened up my, my aesthetic even more than what it was before. Cause you're in the sweats a lot and I'm not saying that still isn't a thing, like, if you're kind of just going to the grocery store or whatnot, but that was a daily thing. Every day was just sweats. And so like, kind of getting into more, I'm dressing on a regular basis to do meetings, to meet clients, to do things that kind of obviously made me want to, elevate it and make sure it was what I really, really enjoyed.
Now it has to be Vetements sweats.
I'll say this, I'm not a person that's all about it has to be a certain brand. I like a certain aesthetic. I like a certain type of fabric. I like it to feel a certain way, but it's not all about just the brand. Yes,
100%.
Of course we have designer brands and stuff, but that's not my number one goal as a stylist, especially. I'm all about like trying to find up and coming brands, find up and coming designers that are doing cool things that people aren't on yet.
Yep. And that's kind of the category I fit into when I was a young designer. And it was always so fun to talk to someone like you who pulled, some of the crazy pieces for particular clients. But I'm interested to hear more about kind of your origin stories and breaking that down. And let's crack into this first water.
Sure.
This is an Italian water, Lauretana. That is my best attempt at this. My stepfather, Jeff, who's my business partner on the water project, found this water at the farmer's market here in LA, as well as this water. I've never seen this water before. It's the first time I've really looked at it, and will be the first time I'm tasting it as well. So I'm excited to test it out with you. I love the blue bottle. From an aesthetic perspective, yes or no?
I mean, it's just a pretty simple design. I mean, nothing too crazy. That doesn't stand out, but I think that's an Italian aesthetic.
Yep. In most Italian waters, we think like Pellegrino, Perrier, they always have a green bottle. So I haven't seen any that are in blue. I like this size bottle. It's 500 milliliters. I like the blue. The blue and the red is strong. And the mineral content. So do you know anything like about minerality, total dissolved solids in water?
I don't. I'm not even gonna lie. That sounds so bad coming from an athlete. I do not.
Well, today we learn a little bit.
We'll learn a little
Here
bit
you go,
today.
my friend. Cheers to Loretana. Let's test it out. Ah. Tastes like water.
Yeah.
There's a strong basic flavor to this water.
It is. Yeah.
What are you noticing?
I would say it definitely has some kind of like a strong taste to start. I'm honestly not like a big sparkling water.
Why not?
I don't know. And I actually lived in Italy, and that was my first place where I feel like they asked all the time, "Do you want sparkling water?" And I was also just like, "Yeah." I mean, I'd rather have just still. Just give me still. I'll drink it. It's not any problem with it, but I think the flavor is good. I think it tastes good. I would love to know kind of about the contents of it.
Yeah, so this is a TDS meter, total dissolved solid, and that measures what is in the water, or how much of something organic matter is in the water. And usually that's the minerals, the calcium, magnesium, sodium, bicarbonate. And it breaks it down on this, but they use commas instead of periods. So I'm sure you experienced that quite a bit
For sure.
in Italy. And so you moved to Italy to play basketball.
Yeah.
And what year was this?
This was 2012. Yeah, I'm kind of old guy. So I graduated college in 2011. In 2011, that end of 2011, I moved to Italy. That was my first year as a professional. And I was there for 1 year. And I actually did Italy again in 2015 and 2016. So I lived there for 2 years.
And so this water has a low TDS, meaning it's under 100 and it's testing at about 34 milligrams per liter, which is low. That's actually similar to what like a filtration system will do in someone's home from a tap water supply. But this is a naturally occurring water, which is amazing. God, Mother Earth is the natural recycler. And Pellegrino, coming back to Italy, Perrier, these waters are typically a higher mineral water, around 300 to 400 milligrams per liter. So there's a lot more calcium, magnesium, these minerals in those waters.
And I'm guessing that's all good things, right?
So it depends, right? When you're an athlete, for me, if I'm going to the gym and working out, I don't want a sparkling water because that carbonation, right,
Yeah.
cause you to kind of be
I
burnt.
know I don't like that, yeah.
And so the higher mineral content, right, minerals and electrolytes are the same thing.
Okay.
It's just a matter of marketing.
Okay.
So there's all these waters that say electrolytes for taste, but really they're just adding back some minerals and purifying municipally sourced tap water and then selling it to you for an extreme premium.
Gotcha.
Whereas living waters like this,
Yeah.
right, these are sourced and yeah, there's some filtration that has to happen to get bacteria, pathogens, parasites out so you don't die from the water. But really it's the earth and the geology that affects those minerals, those electrolytes that are in there.
Oh, no, that's good to know.
And so the still versus sparkling in Italy, do you remember any particular waters or?
Man, you're kind of catching me a little bit too late off that. Like the last time, and there was 9 years. Yeah, almost 10 years now. So I don't. But I would say this, like you asked about the aesthetic of the bottle. I feel like that's a normal type of aesthetic for a bottle. So besides the green, like you said, green is kind of more common.
Globally known for sure. And so, did you enjoy living in Italy? Whereabouts did you live?
I loved it. I lived in multiple different places, but I've lived in a city called Varese. It's about maybe 45 minutes from Milan in the north, and then I played in a city called Mantova. It's about the same, probably like an hour from Milan, so in the north. And then I played really close to Venice, in a city called Treviso,
Wow.
and so that was cool too. So yeah, I would rank it in the top. I would put it at number one. It's probably my favorite place that I played at.
Really?
Yeah.
And why so? Because you've played in so many different
Yeah.
places.
Um,
What about Italy was really
I
special?
think the life is good. I just like just obviously the basketball was good also, but just the life, the cities. I love Milan. I think it's one of the best cities in the world, if not the best. Like I think the fashion is great. It kind of really helped me with my aesthetic of what I like today. Coming out of college, being a 22-year-old, coming from America, and all you really know in that time period is like streetwear, especially in that time. Being around people that literally dress up on a daily basis, and that's just their normal wear, and they're not trying to be cool or anything like that. It's just like, this is who I am. And it's like, it just gave me a different perspective on fashion. And obviously, I mean, it's just a really elegant, I think, more on the luxury side, and I just think I like that it's so effortless for them, so I just enjoyed that part of it.
Also, yeah, Milan is incredible.
Yeah.
And do you like the Italian food? Or?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I didn't say that. Like, I love the pasta, love just obviously the fresh pizza there is everything is on point, and so
See, that
always
I love Italy for so many reasons, but the food is fun for like 2 days for me,
Oh, really?
and then I'm done with the pizza pasta thing.
Oh, man, I could do
Give
that.
me a steak, give me
But you can get that though. They have all that stuff too. I mean, it's
it's
just
so many carbs for your boy.
I get it. I definitely get it. I was working them off, so I was
There you go.
made it made the high easy.
The last time I was in Milan, I was working on a project for Matthew Williams, who was creative director for Givenchy at the time. And I was helping facilitate this collaboration between one of my art mentors from Houston named Mark Flood
Okay.
and Elite Studio.
Oh, darn.
And so helping produce that whole project and really bringing Houston to Milan for the show, which is an incredible experience. And then we went to Paris right after that because Matthew was helm of Givenchy and we went to that show. So that was really my first true fashion week experience.
What year was that?
This would be 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So I was living in New York still at the time, a little bit easier to access those European countries than LA.
It is. Man, it makes it tough coming here because it's like the flight from here to even New York. I mean, that 5 hours is like, oof. And then you got to go to Europe after that too.
Crazy.
I did that 2023 too. Also,
To Milan
yeah, no, to Paris.
for Fashion Week.
Here.
And did you have clients out there? What was your
Yeah, so I had a client that I was taking there, and I dressed him for the whole week, and we did a bunch of shows and events, and all that good stuff.
Yep, the whole Fashion Week
The
job.
whole thing it's a lot. It seems like a fun thing, but it can become it's a job.
It is definitely a job.
Yeah.
And it moves so fast.
Yes. And it's no sleep. It's like 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. and then back out and do.
Because you're going out after all the
Oh
show.
yeah, it's a lot of.
So how many outfit changes were you doing with this particular client?
It was crazy. It was probably like, I would say on a like average day was like 2 a day, and then there were some days we did 3, and so we did that for 6, 7 days. So I mean, you get to
Yep.
15 looks for a week. And so 15, 20 looks for a week is it's a lot of work and a lot of preparation. But I mean, I loved it. I mean, I want to do it again, but it's a lot of work.
You wouldn't want to do it again?
I would. No, I loved it. I mean, it's a great experience, but just I'm telling people, for all the people at home, understand that it's not just all fun and parties. It's a lot of work, especially if you're working. I understand if you're just going to shows and you're on your own, but if you're working, it's a lot.
It is definitely that.
Yeah.
And you have all the brand deals for the particular shows that you're attending. It just became so overwhelming for me as a young designer because I come from Houston, from Kansas City,
Small city, small.
and I was interested in basketball, skateboarding, hip hop, rock and roll, and all the things, the cultural components that led into streetwear and sneakers, which led into luxury fashion,
Same.
which led me into designing. And when I started, there were way less brands doing things, and the whole influencer industry around what fashion has become was very different.
Yeah.
It seems so far away, and now it's really here,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
It's in this room.
Exactly.
It's so easily accessible through social media that it kind of lost a little bit of magic for me. And I'm curious, as someone who has been working in fashion for these years, what's your relationship to clothing and designers? How has that evolved and changed?
A lot. I mean, you kind of see both sides, and um, this is something else about me. I had a clothing brand back in 2017 to like maybe like 2019. So I saw that side of it. Obviously, a small brand, t-shirt, that kind of situation, t-shirt, hoodie, type situation. But I wanted to kind of elevate. It ended up not working out. But obviously it was a great lesson. But it kind of taught me that side, and then going into this side, and then dealing with bigger brands and stuff, you kind of understand their side of things and how they're thinking, and how it can be mutually beneficial for both sides. Um, I mean, relationships are everything in every business, but especially in this one, I'm very big on building relationships with people. But it's very important in this business to have relationships with brands, or you're not going to be able to move forward and do the things you need to do for your clients. Honestly,
100%. And I feel like you probably have a more unique relationship, especially with basketball players, as someone who was a professional basketball player. And as we get into this next water, which I am curious how we're even going to open it because it looks like a wine bottle, but more will be revealed here shortly. A French water. I'm curious as to how you actually transitioned to becoming a celebrity stylist or wardrobe consultant from being a professional athlete. What did that transition look like?
Oh man, it was crazy. So I never ever thought about anything. I mean, well, I won't say that. I did always want to do something in fashion. I thought that I was called to do something like that. And that's why I did the clothing brand when I did. 2019, I actually was approached by one of my friends. She was moving here from New York. She's a pretty big stylist from New York, and she was moving at the time and didn't have a lot of connections out here as far as like other stylists and just needing some help basically. And so at the time I was home from playing for the summer and I was here in LA, and she asked me basically did I want to help her, like, and me just not really doing much but just training at the time. I was just like, "Oh, yeah, let's do it." So we did it. We ended up doing a good amount of music videos, album cover shoots, different photo shoots and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is a pretty cool job. I like it. It's something I could see myself maybe pursuing after I get done playing. And lo and behold, I was done a year later. And then, yeah, it kind of transitioned from there. First, I mean, it's a lot more to the story, but where I really got serious about it was probably 2023. And then that's where I kind of graduated to this point. I got a client that was a really good friend of mine, actually. We had been talking about it for years that we were going to work together. And at the time, I wasn't really styling. I mean, I would do little assistant jobs here and there, or, intern for people just to kind of just be in the fashion world, just be around it. But then it got to a point where he asked me to style him when he got on the Lakers. And that was like my first big break with like a pretty decent sized client. And we had a great time with that. We started for the playoffs and went great, built a lot of relationships. A lot of people were excited about what he was doing, and it led us into doing Paris Fashion Week, and then we did New York Fashion Week also.
Incredible. And it's like God just put that opportunity, years prior in your life.
For sure.
And you said, you felt called to this.
Sure.
As we get into this next water, maybe we kind of talk about that spiritual season. You want to finish that first one off? Make some room for the French one. Okay, this is Arcachon. That is not the French way of saying that. To be honest,
Sure, if not, yeah.
Arcachon. Arcachon. I have the Italian in my mind still. I'm sorry. Oh, this isn't even it. It's abatilles. That is fully still Italian. I cannot transition into my French. My last name is Boyer. Boyer. My dad has done all our genealogy and stuff and claims there's zero French in me. When I went to Paris, the Airbnb we rented, the guy's name was Boyer, and I'm like, okay, and I refuse to do the 23andMe. We're not doing that. I'm not paying someone to have my genealogy and DNA.
Yeah, for sure.
They can come get that from you if they really have to. But anyway, I digress. We're gonna try this water out. This has a TDS, what it looks like around 300, so closer to that San Pellegrino level. And the first one, it's always interesting to me as someone who's tasted a lot of waters to kind of do this journey with each guest, because I notice new things about the water and new flavors come out as you have a relation to a previous water. So I'm curious to see how that kind of transitions for you as well over the course of this podcast. So cheers, my brother.
Cheers.
French. Oh, that's great. Yes. Yep. So the interesting thing to know about this is the pH is 4.8, which is very acidic. However, this one actually tastes less acidic than this water. I have some theory that the pH, the acidity actually increases in blue bottles. I don't know how the light actually interacts with the water, but it's one thing that I've noticed as I've been testing more and more waters. I'm getting pretty good at this. They don't have the total dissolved solids, so the total mineral content from here, but it's running at around mid 200s, which I did the quick math, and it's marketed similar to what it actually is testing. And with these living waters, it's a bit more challenging to have a consistent number because, again, Mother Earth is the recycler. The water you're getting out is kind of, it can vary day to day. And so there's more grace for them. With the municipally sourced tap water, big brands like Essentia, Smart Water, which I know sponsor a lot of athletes.
For sure.
Those are tap waters that are then purified and then put in plastic bottles.
It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
Really crazy.
And I understand the use case for plastic, especially in an athletic sense. When I go to the gym, carrying a glass bottle seems a bit more daunting, but the more and more I research water and understand what's actually in our water, the more and more I value glass and living waters.
Yeah, my wife kind of got me on that too.
What is she on right now?
Not any specific type of water, but she's really about like, I'm gonna drink out of glass or something like that. So she's very serious about that. And I never was ever. If it was plastic cup, it didn't matter, whatever.
Yep.
Kind of been a little more conscious about that.
And I think, it doesn't have to be everything, right? But it's like life. We're making small decisions on a daily basis that in the long run make a difference. And choosing glass bottles when plastic is an option. I mean, but it also depends on what exactly is in that water.
Exactly.
So I'm curious to kind of hear more about how you felt called to fashion in this regards.
Yeah, so like I said, when I've always been into fashion, I knew it was something that I was passionate about, and I knew that people were drawn to me based on it because I always, it's not a bragging or anything, but I've always had people that would compliment me on my clothes or
Yep.
want advice or, hey, should I wear this? What do you think about this? I always have had that or what, just want my opinion. So I knew that there was something to that exactly. And I didn't know exactly what that was because my focus was always basketball. I've been playing basketball, sports in general, since I was 4 or 5 years old. So that was always my main focus, but I knew that there was something with that and something that I wanted to pursue. And then, yeah, like I feel like in more recent years, it's gone to the point of like, okay, I can understand what my calling is with this part of it is I'm here in LA, you know, I feel like Pastor Julian talks about this a lot, is just like being a light in a dark place. And I feel like that's what he's put me here for,
Mm.
and at least be some source of light to others for them to be able to see something different in me. And so that's what I feel. That's what my calling I feel like is for that aspect of things as far as fashion.
I love that so much. And in fashion in particular, in these industries that are so materialistic and of the air, as Pastor Julian talks about, to be a light, to be a reflection of what God is and means in these spaces and to illuminate it is a beautiful thing.
It is. It's not common, and people notice and they say stuff like people will, they can tell when you're different and want to know more about that, and then there's a chance to be able to share the gospel with them.
Mm. And have you been able to establish some deeper relationships based on people kind of coming to you and sensing an energy, a presence around you?
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely had people like that. People that have become really good friends, people that I, just have met just randomly being out and about and just talking about fashion or being at a fashion event or something. And I've definitely connected with people on that level and been able to answer questions they had or maybe, when it comes to faith or anything like that. And so I think that's always like, that might be one of the most gratifying things, to see somebody, that's maybe grappling with something, and to be able to find peace and some kind of clarity on something with their life and as far as their faith.
Hmm. I feel the same way with my art and with fashion. It's similar because it's all about these direct relationships you have with your clients. And
Yeah.
for me, with my collectors, they oftentimes become deeper. And some people it remains surface level. You're getting them the clothes, I'm getting them the art. But some people, what I really love is when it goes a bit deeper and I'm able to be of service to them just as much as they're of service to me and sharing their experience, their story.
Yeah,
Because for me, in my art practice, it's all spiritual.
for sure.
And clothing is inherently spiritual as well because it's so tied to the body.
No, exactly. No, I agree. Yeah, it's very important to me, and I like you said, I think that's why I like the personal styling part of it. Like I'm good with, I love the, big commercial doing things and you just meet the client and do the work. But I love just like actually growing with a person and being able to like know them personally, them know me personally, and just being able to really help them along on their journey, but also them be able to see my journey at the same time. So I think it's kind of a cool, it's a cool thing for me.
I love that. Shall we try the next water?
Let's do it.
So this is a German water. This is Gerolsteiner. This is my personal favorite water that is around there, more places, more available. And this is the most popular mineral water in Germany.
Okay.
Have you played basketball in Germany?
I've been, but I didn't play there, no.
But you played for a team in Belgium.
I did, yeah. So that's what brought me to be able to go to Germany. It was it's a hub. Like, it was a really easy place to be able to drive and go to different places. So that's why I did that.
And so did you have a car when you were living in
I did.
Belgium?
Pretty much everywhere I played, probably outside of maybe like 2 places, I had a car, so I would be able to drive and go places. That's how I went to Paris my first time. I played in Belgium, and it was only like maybe a 2.5-hour drive. So I was driving to Paris and just seeing what life was like. That was like 2012, and
Did you have
Yeah.
Google Maps at the time?
that's so crazy you say that. I don't even remember, what did we use? Yes, I mean, I had an iPhone. I guess just the maps. I guess.
Can you imagine being in Europe? Wait, how old are you? In your 20s?
Yeah, I was 23.
Just trying to like figure out how do I get from Belgium to Paris?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine like how my parents did that. I remember when we were young, when we did a road trip, you'd have to print out.
For sure. Print out MapQuest. Yep.
I
That's
was doing that in
crazy.
Europe. Different story.
Yes, because you try to talk to somebody about something, they might not understand what you're trying to say. It's the whole thing.
All right, Gerolstein, are you ready?
Let's do it.
This is where we get a little crazier.
Okay. I like it. Use it one more time.
A bit more minerally, right? And so this water is marketed around a TDS of 2,500 milligrams per liter, which is very high, about 10 times what the last one we just drank was, but oftentimes tests were around 800 to 1,000. I like to test them. I have had Gerolsteiner on here quite a bit, and so it varies bottle to bottle, but this one's looking around 700 something, which is pretty high. And you don't really need Gatorade or any sort of electrolyte drinks if you're drinking mineral waters on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm learning today. I did not know that.
Yep. So, sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, bicarbonate. These are the kind of 5 main ones that I look for. And then each water has its own particular mineral composition based on the rock that it's in or the sediment that it's in, the position in the world. So this is testing in between 800 and 1,000. And with the really sparkly ones, it kind of messes up the actual testing because it hits the electrodes with the carbonation and it makes it jump and come down and stuff. Okay, parking in Paris, how was that? Do you even remember?
I feel like it wasn't too bad. I'll say the driving there is terrible.
Why?
It's just so much traffic, and it's not really like a highway. You just drive to the street a lot, and so it's just a lot of traffic. It's a lot of cars. It can be a lot. It can be some bad. So like, traffic's bad here. When traffic's there is bad, it's worse for sure.
And there's always a strike, so you never know if the road's just gonna get shut down. And
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my most recent experience in being in Paris Fashion Week, it was obviously it's Fashion Week, but I mean, it was terrible trying to drive anywhere. To be honest with you,
did you take the train at all?
I don't. We was taking Ubers. Man.
Yeah, that's how I am in Paris. I tried to take the train, and it was like you have to get the particular card for this particular path, and I'm just like, I'm good, thank you, French people. It's my heritage.
I want to do the easiest thing possible, so it can just. I don't have to worry about trying to ask anybody or figure too much out. Just get it done.
Would it be? I mean, you didn't have was Uber around in 2012 when you were doing
it
it?
wasn't. I had a car then. I'm talking like this last Paris Fashion Week I went to in 2023.
But I'm just curious.
Then I had a car, so I don't know if it was or not. Now that you say that, I don't. If it was new. So
It's just wild with all the technology at literally our fingertips now.
yeah, it's crazy, and it hasn't been that long. Like 15 years ago it was 2010. Like,
Yeah.
think about that. Like, it's crazy.
Okay, so in high school, did you get awarded best dressed?
I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if we had those awards like that. To be honest,
So I went to a school that had a uniform, and somehow I still won best dressed.
we did too. I had a uniform in my school too. Oh, sorry. I mean, you was accessorizing right.
Exactly.
You was doing it right.
We had the Hermes belt, we had the Esgris, I was wearing Louboutins in 2010,
Oh man, yeah, you was on it.
and the Christian Louboutins were like
Oh, that was
on
the
Tumblr.
thing. That was a thing.
And you had to know someone who knew someone to get
Yeah, it
those.
wasn't easy to get that stuff.
So I had a guy in New York and I had a guy in Los Angeles, and I would buy the ones that they bought because they were very wealthy, and they'd wear them 3 times, and I'd get them for the good deal.
For sure.
And I remember the girls in high school were like, "Are you wearing Christian Louboutins right now?" And I'd be like, "Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is."
Gotta like it is what it is.
I remember for cotillion, this is junior year, I had a pair of leopard Christian Louboutins with the spikes just around the side,
Exactly what you're talking about here.
and I bought women's jeans from Zara because they had Balmain copies, like this pleather Balmain copy. I told my cotillion date, I'm like, she was kinda into fashion and art, her family's big in art. It's like, "Hey, like, I'm wearing these fake Balmains that are women's art, but don't tell anybody." Just kind of is like a fun little, and she told everybody. And now Preston's wearing women's pants.
Brandon, that's hilarious. It's funny you talking about those leopard Christian. I had some myself. That was a big thing, man. Those are the days.
Were they the slip-ons?
No, it was like the lace up. They were like high tops.
Yeah,
It was- I loved those, man. Good old days.
the good old days. Zero traction. We had a basketball league where everyone would get, drunk and high in high school senior year, and you'd like play the other high schools in basketball. And I played a game in the Christian Louboutins, and I had
Yeah, he was everywhere with those. Yeah, oh, those so slick on the bottom.
they let me play about for like maybe 5 minutes. Not the best at basketball. I got progressively worse at basketball as I got older. Very good when I was young, very bad by the end.
Maybe everybody just caught up. They just surpassed.
Okay, so you were playing basketball since 4 or 5. When did you kind of feel that calling that this was going to be a career path?
Oh, that's a good question. Like my parents didn't really, push me to any certain sport or anything like that. They just wanted me to play, just really just have fun. And so I played basketball when I was young. I played soccer when I was young. I ran track. I played, baseball when I was young. As I got older, you kind of see what you like. I did track up until my sophomore year, and I played soccer up until my 8th grade year, and then started playing competitive basketball in 6th grade, and so obviously I took that more serious than all the rest of them from then on. But everybody wants to go to the NBA. Everybody has that dream, of being a professional athlete, but it doesn't seem real like that, I guess, until, for me at least, till I probably got to college, and I was probably really my junior, senior year, really, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Like, um, in college, after high school, I went to college at University of Tulsa. I wasn't a big recruit or anything, but it was a Division I school. Obviously, that was a blessing to be able to do that. I played under a really good coach. I actually played with 2 other NBA guys on my team, and then had a really slow start to my career. Had a really bad injury to my shoulder, to both my shoulder. I had 2 shoulder surgeries my first year, so I sat out my whole first year. Maybe I only played like 10, 12 games. And then sophomore year, kind of continues to got better. Just really put the work in, and then they would end up being a starter by the end of the year. Junior year, I was a starter, had a really good year, and then going to senior year, I was getting some attention from my NBA, and I knew that I would probably be a pro then. That was when I really felt real that, oh, okay, I really can be a pro. And so from there, I had a really good season my senior year, and then I came out of college in a really weird year though, and it was a lockout year, and so there was no summer league, there was no start of the season, didn't start till Christmas, so then I ended up going overseas, and yeah, I kind of just pursued my career from there, overseas, and I played in the G League here in the States, and yeah, just all over the world. I played from there.
Hmm. Fascinating. Yeah, my dreams of being in the NBA were smashed around 2nd grade, so I didn't have to deal with all of that.
Yeah, I mean it's not for everybody. I'm sure you got other passions that you were great at. I know.
Um, and what water were you drinking when you were playing in all these places? Do you remember any sort of particular relationships to hydration?
I didn't really have any relation to be honest. I mean, obviously I drank water and it was very big for me, but it just wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't, as wasn't preached and as important as
Yeah.
I would think now. Maybe it's like the health and wellness part of it from like, what do you put in your body? Like I think like if I would have ate better and also put the right thing in my body, just even water and, not the alcohol as much, that kind of thing, I would have extended my career, not had as many injuries. But we didn't, it just wasn't,
It wasn't a thing.
yeah, and it just wasn't like talked about as much as it is now, that I see at least. So,
Totally.
that's life, and you just kind of go from there.
100%. And I feel like water is in such a similar position to where Christian Louboutins were back in the day.
Yeah.
Where people are becoming more aware of this, these cultural conversations are beginning to happen, and people are really valuing what they're putting into their bodies.
Exactly.
More so with food and supplementation, but water is oftentimes overlooked because it's so basic, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was one of the first 5 people on YouTube back in 2008, 2009 reviewing sneakers.
Oh,
This is before Google owned YouTube.
oh,
And I became a YouTube partner after Google bought them, and I was just reviewing Nike SBs when I was in 8th grade.
okay, that's dope.
And so
Yes.
here we are on YouTube in a major full circle moment, 15 plus years later. It's a very different social media landscape. You can't just upload a video you take on your little camera and then, things happen through that. I have to have Instagram Reels and TikTok and edit it.
So different. It's so much work.
And so for you, I know all these clients are really about that relationship, that personal relationship. How do you see social media impacting your actual business?
Yeah, I mean, it all number one starts with like I think relatability. Like people want to see people that they can relate to. Obviously, what does the aesthetic look like? I mean, that's beyond important nowadays. Like, what is it? What are you putting out for that I can see to see if it's something I can connect with. And then this is also something obviously I need to do better with. Is just I think personalized content that like people can feel like they know you even if they don't. Like I think it helps with getting clients and getting people on board to what you're doing.
Mm.
Like obviously like what we're doing a podcast, and this gives you a segue into what is my life and like what is your life. Those kind of things I think are really important with things now.
Totally.
And that's why like I told you, I know that I need to step out more and be a part of more conversations and more situations even like this that, can show people what I'm about, what I do, and can get a personal feel for me.
100%. And now you can offer hydration consulting.
Exactly. Let's do it.
Depending on where your client is internationally, you may recommend particular waters based on their particular needs. And, with social media, it becomes a full-time job in of itself that I really feel now. And you became a father within the past year. How old is your kiddo?
That's bad. 16 months.
Okay, so a little over a year.
Yeah.
How's that transition been?
It's been great. I mean, it's obviously work, like anything, any great thing that you're gonna have is always gonna be some work with it. But it's been great. It's been a great experience to just learn. I mean, it's a learning process literally every day. And I'm sure that as having a new child.
My son Blaze is 14 years old today. No true words have been spoken today other than that.
Yes. 14 days.
14 days. Blaze is
He said years, you said once.
14 years, yeah.
And I said days.
Like somewhere in between. 14 days. Yeah, not 14 years old yet.
Yes. I mean, it's no greater experience, and it's just like it's so gratifying each day. Is they do more each day, whether you notice it at that young age or not. Like it's just crazy as they continue to get older. You see new things each day, and just that innocence they have in their in them, and just being able to be a father is just I don't know. It's just like one of the best things you could ever do, and so
Amen.
it's a blessing.
It's interesting because when they come out, it's like they're closer to God than us on a physical level.
Yeah.
And that innocence, that purity is powerful.
It is.
Have you been enjoying having your baby be one of your wardrobe clients?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of cool, like being able to dress him, and he's old enough where he can kind of get clothes that we actually really really like.
You got the baby Ricks on him yet?
I have not. We haven't. I'll say this, we haven't, like, really done, like, a whole bunch of, like, really expensive shopping for him because they just grew out of stuff so fast.
Totally.
So it's more of like, "Hey, let's get some stuff that's aesthetically around in the range of what we like," and yeah, I mean, he'll obviously get some stuff that's more expensive, but
But later.
yeah, it's just more about it. We just kinda keep it around same, like, aesthetic.
Because it gets crazy with the baby clothes. People just.
It's actually really expensive.
What do you think about Zara?
I think it's gotten a lot better over the years.
100%.
I would say I would have put it, like, in the same level as, H&M or anything else before, but I think it's they have a really good aesthetic. You can go in there and get something and really feel like, "Oh, this is a nice piece." It's actually pretty good quality
Yep.
too. I'm not the biggest, like, fast fashion guy. I don't personally shop like that, but, I mean, from the aesthetic standpoint, I think it's gotten a lot better, and it doesn't look cheesy or anything. It looks really fashionable actually now.
These are 100% linen from Zara. I got them about a year ago. And every paper I wrote in college was about how horrible fast fashion was. I'm sure you've heard the story about how Zara used to have a boat, and they would bring that boat to fashion weeks in Europe, and then after the shows, they get back on the boat with all the tailors, pattern makers, make all those patterns, get back to South America, and be ready to produce everything.
Yes, I actually looked at a story one yeah, I don't love anything about that, and that's kinda why it's hard for me to just support I don't exactly support that, but from an aesthetic standpoint, I think they've done a better job for people that's in their affordability range,
Yep.
that's what they can do that and it still be a decent level of quality plus a look that they're looking for.
Totally. And there's been a big rise in Christian fashion companies
Yeah,
coming
for
out.
sure.
We have a hat vendor that hangs out after church, or I think that's an interesting position to be in.
Yeah, I think most of the time here this is what I'll say about it. I think a lot of times it gets cheesy, and I think that's why I don't exactly love it, but I think if you're doing it right, and I think that I believe that there is some brands that are doing it, decently, then I think it's all more power to it. I mean, any way you can get the gospel out there, I think it's great,
Totally.
but let's just stay away from the cheesy
Yeah.
T-shirts and hats and stuff.
Yeah. 100%. It does become super corny.
So yeah.
It was really punk rock, like, maybe 5 years ago to see something like Faith Over Fear, and now it's every trucker hat.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
I actually I wanna give you a piece that I made for my so I made this album called Repurposed Religion. It was a performance, and it was a underground club, uh, album that basically consisted of 7 of my favorite worship songs remixed, chopped and screwed in some capacity into contemporary music, and then we made one original song. And like this T-shirt, this hat that I made are from the Repurposed Religion project. Actually, this hat, me and my designer here in LA made, and it has the track list of the album on the inside.
That's dope.
So we got beautiful name, awesome God, not in a hurry, set a fire, believe for it, raise a hallelujah, waymaker, and then God's grace, which was the original song that we made from that album. And a celebrity stylist saw this hat after we made it and requested a personal one. So there's 2 in existence. I feel like I'm like in the 50s, like Willy Wonka, like sleeping in my onesie, cozy vibe. It actually feels like a swaddle for my kid.
It's dope though.
My buddy, I met this guy on Grailed. You ever use Grailed for?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you use Grailed for clients work too?
Not that much because I'll say this. Most of the clients I have, they're not like grill. Like if we're getting on grill, like we're finding some like rare pieces, something that's like a real statement piece. I haven't really had to do that. Let's say that. Not in recent times, at least.
And have you ever made friends through Grailed?
That's funny you say that. Not exactly. I like back in the day, like like Nike Talk and
Yep, Soul Collector.
yeah, that's kind of stuff maybe, but like in grill, no, I haven't. Obviously I bought a lot of stuff and I've sold a lot of things on there. Like I've had conversations, but never like actually built with anybody.
So here's a crazy God moment. I was getting ready to move to LA. I'm selling some stuff on Grailed from my time in New York. I don't need all the winter stuff. Sell a pair of Andamula Meester sneakers I've had since I was, I don't know, 15, 16 back in the day. 15 plus years owning them, wore them 4 times because they were this black suede and just had these holes in them. It's like the most impractical shoe ever. Sold them to this guy and he's like, hey, you happen to be in LA? And I'm like, I'm moving there in a few weeks. he said, well, come by my design studio. I'm making clothes and stuff. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I went by and we connected instantly, spiritual connection there. And we ended up making all these clothes and all these projects together through Grailed. So that was just God putting this guy in my life. And now he's one of my best friends here in LA.
Man, that's God's plan. That's God's work.
But it felt like the old days of Soul Collector and Nike Talker. You had a bit more intimate relationships with people.
It was just so much fewer people that were in this like realm of like wanting to be a part of it, you know? Like it wasn't like the cool thing to do.
Nope.
Like now it's like the cool thing to, you know, try to find something cool to wear and post it on TikTok. Like that wasn't like the cool thing to do then. So it's cool when you can find genuine people like that.
Totally. And it's kind of almost punk rock to be normal in some capacity because there's so much out there. And to have a unique voice and a unique style that's true to you, that makes sense, is powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's try this last water.
Let's do it.
Spanish water, Vichy Catalan. You already passed me that bottle. This is the craziest water we have. This has a marketed TDS of around 3,000. I love this water, and the taste is pretty out there. So I don't want to hype it up too much, but RIP to this bottle of Vichy Catalan. We're gonna finally finish it on episode 5 because it's not something that I really drink a lot of. A little bit goes a really long way.
Good.
So
do it.
Yeah, test it out.
I'm guessing that's the minerals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strong.
So what is kind of the flavor that's coming up to you from the initial little rip?
I don't know. It's just definitely an initial taste that you get. I don't love it.
Different than the others.
Yeah.
Heavy sodium.
Okay. Okay.
And so with Gatorade or these other electrolyte brands, big part of those is that salt content because your body has to have salt to retain that water.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate.
It tastes like it does taste like.
Yeah, kind of briny almost. We're a no on the brine. What's your favorite water that you drink on a day-to-day basis?
Bro, I drink the filtered water from our refrigerator. So I don't really, I mean, obviously I'll buy water from out.
Yeah.
But if we do get bottles, I mean, we'll just get like the pH something from, I don't know, Costco or something. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, I'm not a big water person.
Yeah.
So
as someone who's done the research into what is in the LA tap water and probably what your filter is not filtering out of the water, I would highly encourage you to just check that information out for yourself. They hide it because it's pretty insane. And the fridge filters, a lot of these filters don't really get anything out of that. So it's basically drinking straight tap water.
It's good enough.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
What do you drink on a daily basis?
So we drink Mountain Valley. So we have a 5-gallon glass drum. That's a subscription service. That's what I recommend to people. The problem with Mountain Valley is they keep getting bought and sold by other big water companies. And in order to supply, they sell, from what I've calculated through ChatGPT and estimates, around 1 billion 1-liter glass bottles a year.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and to supplement the spring source that water comes from in Arkansas, it's been around since 1871, to meet demand, they're probably putting some tap water, some purified tap water in there. So, and a lot of industry insiders that I've talked to kind of bring this up to me as well. It's something that most people don't know about. So there's my latest little data point on that. But for me, I love spring water. Spring water has a mineral content similar to what's coming out of most is tap water. If you drink just water that's been completely purified through reverse osmosis, there's a water filter called Zero Water. Water is inherently a solvent. It'll dissolve whatever it's stored in, but it'll also act as a detoxifying agent through your body. And so it's good to do it if you're doing it to detox. Distilled water is good for using in like mechanical applications so you don't get minerals crystallizing in your teapot. But those minerals are really, really important. And that does exist in tap waters, but LA in particular, where we get our tap water from and how it's stored and how it's treated and over chlorinated, that then creates all these other chemicals called disinfection byproducts. And all the microplastics and pharmaceuticals that end up in our water supplies due to the population size is it's pretty wild. Coming back to why I'm starting a bottled water business in a seemingly super inundated area. You mentioned the pH water. That is nothing more than a marketing myth to sell you purified tap water at a very premium rate. You're just as good off as drinking water out of the tap and using a Brita filter or some other home filtration device.
How long has it been that bad, like, here? Like, is it something that is kinda more a recent thing, or is it something that's been like this or it's gotten worse over time?
Yeah, so it's probably been bad for a long time in LA. The more and more people live somewhere, the more and more demand there is. With a place that has the geography of Los Angeles, right? We don't have a bunch of lakes, rivers, streams, natural spring source, or artesian well sources. So most of the water that we get in Los Angeles is coming from Northern California, which is coming from states above us, and it kind of flows through here. In a place like Texas, a lot of the tap water supplies come from artesian wells, so under the Earth's surface. And so there's more natural filtration processes through the sediment, through the time that it takes, of course, depending on the aquifer. So it really depends on where you're actually living versus your tap water. So the other side is governments want to make sure no one's getting sick from the water, no one's dying from the tap water. So they really use a lot of chlorine and other chemicals to filter that water, so no one has bacteria, viruses, parasites in the water that you get in some living water sources. And so through that kind of over precaution, there's negative consequences.
That makes sense.
And it's just like life. It's like we try and do our best and we move forward in one direction and then we take a step back and a sidestep. And
Exactly.
but it's all about kind of moving that ball forward and having these conversations. Like, why are we adding so much fluoride to the water? Why are we chlorinating it
Important.
so high?
It's important for sure.
Because we all rely so much on water.
Yeah, so it's so important. Nah, I love this. I mean, it definitely helped me with my education on water. I know that I've never definitely haven't been educated on it, but even some of the learning about some of this stuff today with all these waters, that was very helpful.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what waters you kind of notice now that you're
Now
out
you
and
got me
about.
thinking about it.
And for me, that's what it took. And we don't know something we don't know. And I'm excited to see kind of where these conversations go with the people who are watching this, who are
Exactly.
part of this water community, who are part of the fashion community, who've never thought about what water they're drinking. We're thinking about the Kale Christian Powell and all these other brands that, you know, are at the edges of the internet. But what are we doing here? And every startup is now a tech startup, an AI startup. And great, people are making a lot of money, doing a lot of progress in there. But it comes to a point where, okay, what are we actually going to put in our bodies in order to use these tech? It reaches a certain point where it has to kind of come back to basics.
Exactly. Health is the number one key.
Health is
I to
wealth.
have your health as well.
Awesome. Well, I think that's probably a pretty good way to end the episode. What I would like to give you is I would love to offer you one of these custom bottles that I finished up this morning.
Appreciate that.
And I think they kind of relate to the aesthetics, the draping of fashion.
For sure. I love it.
So feel free to pick your favorite one and take it home to the wife. And I would not recommend drinking water out of these because they've been painted, but they can serve as little artwork or
Yeah, for sure.
a vase.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Love it. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Justin. Justin Hurtt. Follow him on all the social medias. They'll be linked below. If you need celebrity styling or word, you know who to call. So thank you so much for joining us. Liquid Life, episode 5. We'll see you on episode 6. Have a great one, y'all. Peace.